Inner.
Inner.
An inner room.
Inner London.
The inner ear.
Yoga gives me a sense of inner calm. She'll need great inner strength to get over the tragedy.
She never shared her inner thoughts with anyone.
The inner workings of the film industry. The fascinating inner life of a political party.
Members of the president's inner circle.
My inner voice told me to be cautious.
Inner child. Inner child.
Inner city.
Inner city.
The problems of our inner cities.
Inner city schools.
Innermost.
Innermost.
A man who would never share his innermost thoughts with anyone.
The innermost depths of the cave.
Inner tube.
Inner tube.
Inning.
Inning.
Innings.
Innings.
In it.
In it.
It's cold, innit? He's a bad man, innit?
Innkeeper.
Innkeeper.
Innocence.
Innocence. Can you prove your innocence? The prisoners continue to protest their innocence.
In our innocence, we believed everything we were told.
The innocence of childhood.
Innocent.
Innocent.
Nobody would believe that I was innocent.
He's innocent of murder.
The court found him innocent, and he was released.
Many innocent civilians are among the casualties.
He was startled by their angry reaction to his innocent remark. He was startled by their angry reaction to his innocent remark.
I was 13 years old and very innocent.
Innocuous.
Innocuous.
An innocuous remark.
He's a perfectly innocuous young man.
Innovate.
Innovate.
The need for large businesses to innovate.
The company has successfully innovated new products and services.
Innovation.
Innovation.
Recent innovations in English teaching.
We must encourage innovation if the company is to remain competitive.
We need to encourage innovation in industry.
Many people feel bewildered by the speed of technological innovation.
Innovative.
Innovative.
An innovative approach to language teaching.
Innovative schemes for recycling waste materials. An innovative design team.
Innovator.
Innovator.
Innovatory.
Innovatory.
Innuendo.
Innuendo.
His writing is full of sexual innuendos.
A campaign based on rumour, innuendo and gossip.
Innumerable.
Innumerable.
She served on innumerable committees.
Enumerate.
Enumerate.
Inoculate.
Inoculate.
All the children had been inoculated against hepatitis.
Inoffensive.
Inoffensive.
Her husband was a small, inoffensive-looking man.
Inoperable.
Inoperable.
An inoperable brain tumour.
The bombing rendered the airfield inoperable.
Inoperative.
Inoperative.
Inopportune.
Inopportune.
I'm afraid you've called at rather an inopportune moment.
An inopportune visit.
Inordinate.
Inordinate.
Testing is taking up an inordinate amount of teachers' time. She's inordinately fond of her parrot.
Inorganic.
Inorganic.
Inorganic matter.
Inorganic chemistry.
Inorganic chemistry.
Impatient.
Impatient.
Input.
Input.
If the input data specified it, the file will close and the process terminates. If the input data specified it, the file will close and the process terminates.
Farmers contributed most of the input into the survey.
We'll need input from community nurses. The information is input to our computer system.
Inquest.
Inquest.
The coroner will hold an inquest into the deaths.
The inquest heard that she died from multiple injuries.
The Tories will hold a private inquest into why they were defeated.
Inquietude.
Inquietude.
Inquire.
Inquire.
Why are you doing that? The boy inquired.
I am writing to inquire about your advertisement in the Times.
The waiter inquired whether we would like to sit near the window.
Where's the station? She inquired of a passer-by. Toby would have liked to inquire further.
He called me aside to inquire after my daughter.
The investigation will inquire into the company's financial dealings.
Inquiring.
Inquiring.
She raised an inquiring eyebrow towards Murray.
As a child, he had a lively, inquiring mind.
Victor looked at her inquiringly.
Inquiry.
Inquiry.
We're getting a lot of inquiries about our new London to Rio service. Inquiries from potential applicants. I don't know who sent the gift, but I'll make some inquiries.
On further inquiry, it emerged that Malcolm had not been involved in the incident.
The local council set up a committee of inquiry to look into policing arrangements.
A judicial inquiry into the deaths.
The Civil Aviation Authority has agreed to hold an inquiry into the accident.
The police have launched a murder inquiry.
Parents have called for an independent inquiry into the accident.
The Inquisition.
The Inquisition.
Inquisition.
I had to face a 2-hour inquisition from my parents about where I'd been.
Inquisitive.
Inquisitive.
I'd have asked more questions, but I didn't want to seem inquisitive.
A cheerful, inquisitive little boy.
He peeped inquisitively into the drawer.
Inquisitor.
Inquisitor.
Inroad.
Inroad.
Video is making huge inroads into attendance figures at movie theatres. Video is making huge inroads into attendance figures at movie theatres. They have made significant inroads into the European market.
The administrative workload is making massive inroads into our working day. The administrative workload is making massive inroads into our working day. We haven't made much of an inroad into the backlog of work. We haven't made much of an inroad into the backlog of work.
Inrush.
Inrush.
The inrush of fresh air filled the room.
Ins and outs.
Ins and outs.
I don't really know all the ins and outs of the matter.
Insane.
Insane.
That's an insane risk.
The whole idea sounds absolutely insane to me.
Why did you do that? Have you gone insane?
The killer was declared criminally insane.
A hospital for the insane.
My little brother's been driving me insane all weekend.
Insanely jealous.
She giggled insanely.
Insanitary.
Insanitary.
Insanity.
Insanity.
The court acquitted Campbell on the grounds of temporary insanity. The court acquitted Campbell on the grounds of temporary insanity. Can't they see the insanity of dumping radioactive waste in the sea? Can't they see the insanity of dumping radioactive waste in the sea? Can't they see the insanity of dumping radioactive waste in the sea?
Insatiable.
Insatiable.
His insatiable appetite for power. Our insatiable thirst for knowledge.
Inscribe.
Inscribe.
Inside the cover, someone had inscribed the words, "To Thomas with love."
The team's name is inscribed on the base of the trophy.
The tomb was inscribed with a short poem.
Inscription.
Inscription.
A Latin inscription on the memorial stone.
Inscrutable.
Inscrutable.
He stood silent and inscrutable.
Insect.
Insect.
An insect bite.
Flying insects.
Don't forget to bring insect repellent.
Insecticide.
Insecticide.
Insectivore.
Insectivore.
Insecure.
Insecure.
She's very insecure about her appearance.
She felt lonely and insecure away from her family.
Many of them work in low-paid, insecure jobs.
Student teachers often suffer from a great sense of insecurity. Her deepest fears and insecurities.
Inseminate.
Inseminate.
Insensate.
Insensate.
An insensate hatred of America.
Insensibility.
Insensibility.
Insensible.
Insensible.
She remained insensible of the dangers that lay ahead.
Insensible to the cold.
He fell to the ground, insensible.
Insensitive.
Insensitive.
One insensitive official insisted on seeing her husband's death certificate. One insensitive official insisted on seeing her husband's death certificate.
An insensitive remark. She's totally insensitive to Jack's feelings.
Companies that are insensitive to global changes will lose sales. Companies that are insensitive to global changes will lose sales.
The service is insensitive to the needs of local people. The service is insensitive to the needs of local people. Insensitive to pain.
Inseparable.
Inseparable.
Jane and Sarah soon became inseparable companions.
Tom was inseparable from his dog, Snowy.
Britain's economic fortunes are inseparable from the world situation.
Insert.
Insert.
His hand shook slightly as he inserted the key into the lock.
His manager inserted a new clause into his contract. His manager inserted a new clause into his contract.
Insert your comments in the space below.
A 6-page insert on computer software.
He wore special inserts in his shoes to make him look taller. He wore special inserts in his shoes to make him look taller.
Insertion.
Insertion.
In service.
In service.
Inset. Inset. An inset day.
The venture earned Mr. Taylor millions of dollars. The venture earned Mr. Taylor millions of dollars.
A pendant with a diamond inset.
A wooden box inset with ivory.
Spotlights inset into the ceiling.
Inshore.
Inshore.
The fishing boats usually stay close inshore.
Inshore waters.
Inside.
Inside.
The jewels were locked away inside the safe.
I sent the money inside an envelope addressed to Anne.
Carl picked up the book and stuffed it inside his jacket.
Her car was locked and the keys were inside.
It's raining. We'll have to go inside. She could hear voices inside, but no one came to the door. Mail was piled up just inside the doorway. Mail was piled up just inside the doorway.
The sound was coming from inside the house. There were 20 people packed inside of her dorm room.
Very little is known of events inside this mysterious country. Very little is known of events inside this mysterious country. Very little is known of events inside this mysterious country.
The guerrillas were said to be operating from bases inside the war zone. Women's influence inside the party.
The information comes from sources inside the company. Discussions should involve local people both inside and outside the school.
You just don't understand how I feel inside. Steve's a strange guy. You never know what's going on inside his head. Anger bubbled up deep inside her.
Something inside of me told me not to trust him.
She could feel the baby kicking inside her. You'll feel better once you've got a good meal inside you.
A full report is expected inside 3 months. We'll be back inside the hour.
Our aim is to get the whole job finished inside of a week.
Johnson's time of 9.3 seconds was just inside the world record. Johnson's time of 9.3 seconds was just inside the world record. My boyfriend's been inside for a year.
The apple's rotten on the inside.
Condensation on the inside of the window.
The door had been locked from the inside.
You've got that jumper inside out.
Her umbrella blew inside out.
I always turn my jeans inside out to wash them.
The drug squad turned the apartment inside out.
She knows her subject inside out.
Someone on the inside must have helped with the robbery. Someone on the inside must have helped with the robbery.
My insides are beginning to complain about the lack of food. The inside pages of the newspaper.
The inside pocket of his jacket.
Police believe the robbers may have had inside information.
Insider.
Insider.
An insider's view of the way that a Japanese company works.
Insider trading.
Insider trading.
Inside track.
Inside track.
The inside track to success in business.
Insidious.
Insidious.
An insidious trend towards censorship of the press.
Insidious.
An insidious trend towards censorship of the press.
Insight.
Insight.
The article gives us a real insight into the causes of the present economic crisis.
The research provides new insights into the way we process language.
A woman of great insight.
Insightful.
Insightful.
An insightful analysis.
Insignia.
Insignia.
The royal insignia.
Military insignia. Insignificant.
Insignificant.
You realize that your problems are insignificant in comparison.
Insincere.
Insincere.
An insincere smile.
An offer which she knew to be impractical and insincere.
Insinuate.
Insinuate.
Are you insinuating that the money was stolen?
What are you trying to insinuate?
He managed to insinuate his way into her affections.
He insinuated himself into Mehmet's confidence.
A large cat insinuated itself through the gap. A large cat insinuated itself through the gap.
Insinuation.
Insinuation.
She rejected the insinuation that she was partly to blame.
Insipid.
Insipid.
An insipid pasta dish.
Insipid colours.
Insist.
Insist.
Mike insisted that he was right.
His friends insisted he had no connection with drugs.
She kept insisting on her innocence.
Stay for supper, I insist.
They insisted that everyone should come to the party.
He insisted I should take a taxi.
We insist on the highest standards of cleanliness in the hotel. He insisted upon checking everything himself.
Why don't you call them up today? Oh, if you insist.
She will insist on washing her hair just when I want to have a bath.
Insistence.
Insistence.
His insistence that they discuss the problem.
An insistence on punctuality.
At her father's insistence, she joined them for a drink.
Insistent.
Insistent.
She was insistent that they should all meet for dinner. They were insistent on good manners.
The music's insistent rhythm.
The bell rang again insistently.
In situ.
In situ.
Insofar.
Insofar.
Insole.
Insole.
Insolent.
Insolent.
An insolent tone of voice. You insolent child.
Insoluble.
Insoluble.
Insoluble conflicts within the department.
Insolvable.
Insolvable.
Insolvent.
Insolvent.
The company was later declared insolvent.
Insomnia.
Insomnia.
Insomniac.
Insomniac.
Insomuch.
Insomuch.
Insouciance.
Insouciance.
An air of insouciance.
Insourcing.
Insourcing.
Inspect.
Inspect.
I got out of the car to inspect the damage.
Police inspected the scene and interviewed all the staff.
The police will inspect the venue for safety.
The building is regularly inspected by the fire safety officer.
General Allenby arrived to inspect the troops.
Inspection.
Inspection.
Regular inspections of the prison.
An inspection was carried out at the school.
Copies of the documents are available for inspection at local libraries. Copies of the documents are available for inspection at local libraries.
However, on closer inspection, a number of problems emerged.
Close inspection of the plane's engines revealed several small defects.
Inspector.
Inspector.
Ticket inspectors.
A health and safety inspector.
Standards of discipline at the school were strongly criticized in the inspector's report.
Inspector Blake.
Inspectorate.
Inspectorate.
Inspector of taxes.
Inspector of taxes.
Inspiration.
Inspiration.
The Malvern Hills have provided inspiration for many artists and musicians over the decades. He raised his eyes to the altar as if seeking inspiration.
He draws inspiration from ordinary scenes.
Mary Quant's inspiration comes from the glam style of the 70s.
He had a sudden flash of inspiration.
He has always been a source of inspiration for me. The seascapes of Cape Cod were her inspiration. He was the inspiration for Wordsworth's poem, The Old Huntsman. People like Tara are an inspiration to us all. The spread of improved nursing under the inspiration of Florence Nightingale.
Inspirational.
Inspirational. Jones proved an inspirational figure in Welsh rugby.
Inspire.
Inspire.
We need someone who can inspire the team.
He inspired many young people to take up the sport.
I hope this success will inspire you to greater efforts.
Inspired by the sunny weather, I decided to explore the woods.
Gandhi's quiet dignity inspired great respect.
His driving hardly inspires confidence.
The hospital's record does not inspire confidence.
The story was inspired by a chance meeting with an old Russian duke.
A range of designs inspired by wildflowers.
Inspired.
Inspired.
An inspired leader.
An inspired performance.
In an inspired move, they took on the relatively inexperienced Ray Unwin as director.
We suspect that the violence was politically inspired.
Inspired.
Inspiring.
Inspiring.
Inspiring music.
King was a great orator and an inspiring leader.
Instability.
Instability.
The instability of the market.
Political instability in the region.
Nervous instability.
Install.
Install.
They've installed the new computer network at last.
Security cameras have been installed in the city centre.
We've installed new antivirus software.
Churchill was installed as Chancellor of the University.
Installation.
Installation.
The installation and maintenance of alarm systems.
The whole computer installation was nearly new.
Nuclear installations.
The installation of the new bishop.
Installment plan.
Installment plan.
Installation.
Installment.
Installment.
The second instalment of a loan.
They're letting me pay for the washing machine by monthly instalments.
The first installment of a science fiction trilogy.
Instance.
Instance.
We need to rethink the way we consume energy. Take, for instance, our approach to transport.
They came across many instances of discrimination.
Instances where safety regulations have been breached.
In this instance, I think she was mistaken. In this instance, I think she was mistaken.
Anyone wishing to join the society should apply in the first instance to the secretary. Anyone wishing to join the society should apply in the first instance to the secretary.
She instanced the first chapter as proof of his skill in constructing scenes. She instanced the first chapter as proof of his skill in constructing scenes. She instanced the first chapter as proof of his skill in constructing scenes.
Instant.
Instant.
An instant success.
A system that provides instant access to client information.
The women took an instant dislike to one another.
The program brought an instant response.
Instant coffee.
Instant soup.
She caught his eye for an instant. She caught his eye for an instant.
When the rain started, the crowd vanished in an instant.
An instant of panic.
She stepped towards the door, and in that very same instant, the doorbell rang. The instant I saw him, I knew he was the man from the restaurant.
Jen burst out laughing the instant she walked in.
Come here this instant. Instantly.
Instantly.
All 4 victims died instantly.
The information was instantly available.
Instant messaging.
Instant messaging.
Instant messaging services.
Instant replay.
Instant replay.
Instead.
Instead.
You probably picked up my keys instead of yours.
Could I have tuna instead of ham?
Instead of being annoyed, he seemed quite pleased.
Jeff didn't study law. Instead, he decided to become an actor. If Joe can't attend the meeting, I could go instead.
Instep.
Instep.
Instigate.
Instigate.
Charles instigated a program of reforms.
He accused union leaders of instigating the disturbances.
Instigation.
Instigation.
An inquiry set up at the instigation of the White House.
Instigate. Instill.
Instill.
A manager's job is to instill determination into his players.
Instinctive.
Instinctive.
A mother's instinctive love.
Instinct.
Instinct.
Animals have a natural instinct for survival.
The human instinct to form relationships.
Birds build nests by instinct. Birds build nests by instinct.
Her instinct told her that something was wrong.
His first instinct was to rush back to Isabel.
Instinctive.
Instinctive.
A mother's instinctive love.
Instinctual.
Instinctual.
Institute.
Institute.
Research institutes.
The Institute for Space Studies.
We had no choice but to institute court proceedings against the airline. Institution.
Institution.
The government and other political institutions.
Powerful institutions such as world banks.
The institution of electrical engineers.
Social institutions such as the family and religion.
The scandal threatened to undermine the institution of the presidency.
I was determined not to put my mother in an institution.
A mental institution.
The institution of divorce proceedings.
The British pub isn't just somewhere to drink, it's an institution.
Institutional.
Institutional.
Children in institutional care.
Accusations of institutional racism in the police force.
Institutionalize.
Institutionalize.
The struggle to institutionalize equality for women.
Institutionalized.
Institutionalized.
Institutionalized corruption within the state.
Institutionalized democracy.
In-store.
In-store.
An in-store bakery.
Instruct.
Instruct.
His secretary was instructed to cancel all his engagements. The judge immediately instructed that Beatty be released.
Eva went straight to the hotel as instructed.
He had instructed the slaves what to say when questioned.
Greater effort is needed to instruct children in road safety.
Employees are instructed how to make a complaint.
I was instructed that £20,000 had been paid into my account.
Instruction.
Instruction.
Press enter and follow the on-screen instructions.
Both products come with instructions for use.
Are there any instructions on how to plant the trees?
He had specific instructions to check everyone's identity cards.
Mrs. Edwards gave instructions that she was not to be disturbed.
On the landlord's instructions, the barmaid refused to serve him.
My instructions are to give the package to him personally.
Make sure you carry out the doctor's instructions. The police were under instruction to fire if necessary.
Religious instruction.
Driving instruction.
The school gives instruction in first aid.
This group of trainees is still under instruction.
Instructional.
Instructional.
A free instructional video. Instructive.
Instructive.
Thank you. That was very instructive.
An instructive comparison.
Instructor.
Instructor.
A driving instructor.
Ski instructors.
A social studies instructor.
Instrument.
Instrument.
Surgical instruments.
Electronic instruments.
A failure of the flight instruments.
Sensitive earthquake detecting instruments. Sensitive earthquake detecting instruments.
Interest rates are an important instrument of economic policy. Interest rates are an important instrument of economic policy.
Good management should be an instrument for innovation.
Death was due to a blow on the head with a blunt instrument. Death was due to a blow on the head with a blunt instrument.